Welcome to Transaction Review and Calculator Practice. This is our April session, and this is where we go over owner financing and note deals with actual calculator practice so that you get comfortable with the concepts and how we figure this stuff out. So once you understand that financial calculator, boy, you're gonna feel so smart, and you're gonna be able to create a lot of solutions. So but anyway, my standard disclaimer is this is for educational purposes only. I'm only the note queen. This is only my thoughts and my ideas. Please, consult your professionals before you invest in property or paper. Anyhow, if you're interested in deepening your own understanding and you're watching from the outside looking in, please consider joining us here. We have a really special group of people, and it's one of the favorite things that I do. Here we are, Karen Leach and Lance Wood. A special welcome to you. And Lance Wood submitted this deal, and I am partnering with a nurse in establishing an assisted living facility. Fantastic. That was another cash cows to consider. She currently runs a 4-bedroom facility and was looking to expand. I explained by targeting an undervalued fixer-upper, I could buy a place, fix up, and build out for her needs. I can refi to cover all of my cash. Roughly, the purchase price on the property is $500,000, build out $100,000, so the resulting balance will be $600,000 with a bank around 5 to 6%. You said that's a refi, right? Lance, are you live or where I can hear you?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Oh, fantastic. Welcome. And this is your deal. So I love it when we can actually talk. So we are keeping the business and real estate separate. Okay, fantastic. I was to be the landlord only. She would have a buyout agreement from the beginning. Fantastic. Okay, my thought is to buy her out as soon as she is stable with an owner finance wrap using the terms. Okay, I am the note with no, yes. You have no tenants or bedpans. She has new 10-suite, 1 bath for each bed, a lucrative business, and the real estate. So tell us about you. This is a great business model. So introduce us to you, please.
Sure. I real estate investor. I used to have a mortgage company for 12 years, 14 years, and after 2008, I wandered around for a little while before getting back into real estate full time. So I worked really, really, really hard for a couple of years, and I think I made a couple bucks, but then I recently. The owner financing, it actually started with some owner financing training, and then I got set up as a private money broker, and then I realized that I could would like to. I haven't had a lot of experience or been successful yet in implementing the owner financing in the business, but I'm really interested in it and excited to figure out how to use it.
Right. And so, and let me make sure that this is somebody else. Okay, great. So I just want to make sure I understand this deal. So I love my financial calculator. If you guys don't have it already, please get the 10B2 from In-A-Day Development. It should be on your smartphone if you have one or whatever. I can be on the phone and quote someone a ballpark pick, price on their note or whatever it is, because this is should be front and center app that you're gonna have and be really familiar with. So Lance, in this situation, what do you most need help with on this scenario? What can I help you with? Just how that wrap works?
The wrap I could use some help on, but just it was kind of an idea I kind of worked my way through. When we started, I had a completely different idea in my head than what it turned out to be. But I think it's working out pretty well. And that one sentence there, the idea is once we buy it, rehab it, get it built out for what she needs, wait till she's established. And the idea was to put a buyout agreement in place and she lease it. But I was thinking if what I could do is just sell the building to her and be completely out of the picture. And then she's got everything there with the new facility and the business and the real estate, and I've got the note, which is really all I want. Well, to help her out, but also she wants to be owner, and I would be completely happy just collecting on the note.
Okay, so fantastic. You have the cash to buy a property and fix it up? You have that? Are you that liquid?
I'm not, but I am a private money broker, so I can get all the way to there. But I would need to wrap someone else's financing. I'm not that liquid, no.
Okay, so you're going to get one of your partners to put up 100%. Will they do 100% of the acquisition and rehab, or how are you going to structure that realistically to keep your investor there safe?
I'll have to bring some cash to it, but I'm pretty good at that part of it. The idea is that if you look at it from a cash flow standpoint, each bed rents for about $4,000.
Right.
She'll have 4 of them. So sure, when you put together the pro forma, if you look at it from like a commercial cash flow debt service
exactly
perspective, that thing's worth way more than 600. So convincing someone to give me 100% is pretty easy to do.
Okay, fantastic. So the part is basically, so if we just start, you're going to have, so we're just going to say that you use private money to get it going, and then you're going to do a bank refi, right? At 600.
Yeah, that's where we're going to get our cheapest money from.
Exactly. So what number do you want me to put in? 5, 6, 5.5, just for the, let's just say you have. All right, so let's put 5.5. This is bank cash out, your investors, and of course, you know, if it sounds like you're very experienced, so you're calculating out your holding costs of capital up front, and then, you know, while you're doing it, because the real juice is when she's got those beds filled up, right? So
yeah, but she's got a line around that should be pretty quick and easy.
And would this be a 360? Are we just looking at a 5.5, 360 kind of loan?
Yeah, that's what we discussed, her and I. I'm sorry.
No, this is just what you think you're going to get on the underlying.
Yeah. That's right. The underlying is the 5.5, and it's a 30-year end. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be in at 3,400 so that's going to be the nut that you need. And now you're looking at, can I just sell it to her with a premium, right? So is she going to bring any cash to the table or no? Down payment to you?
No, just sweat equity and the ability to run it.
Gotcha. So basically, you're going to add 120,000 to the purchase price, which is very fair. You know, you're putting this, just handing it in her lap. And the rate that you would charge her is 7.5. So it's called arbitrage, right? You're making a 2-point spread on the money, leaving the bank money in place and leveraging that. So you're making a 2-point spread, right? And would you do the same 360? Would you just mirror the terms that you have, or what would you do? Would you put a balloon in there, which could be good?
No. The it was 360 is what the agreement was.
Okay, so you're willing to write it out as long as you're underlying. So that shows that you have 5,000 coming in from her. You owe 3,400, so you got 1,600 cash flow without taxes, insurance, tenants, toilets, all the things that you mentioned. Is that the idea?
Is that the idea?
Yeah. Did I capture it? What the numbers look like?
Yes. Yeah. She would handle taxes and insurance. That would all be on her side. So it's just PI to PI. Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at 1,600 passive income just for being for pulling the strings. You're the puppet master, putting all the pieces together, right? Well, fantastic. So that sounds phenomenal. I mean, 5,000, considering you said she has 4 times 4, she's going to have, so 5,000. That's not with taxes and insurance, but just for figuring out her debt to income divided by 16,000. I mean, we're at a very reasonable 31% debt to income, at least in just figuring P&I. So that leaves her plenty of money. She has all that other money to cover. God, even she's still going to make, 90, 100, 90,000, 100,000 a year, just as a salary for herself after debt service and all the other things, something like that, right?
Yeah. That's about right.
And then, okay, so what else can we help you with on this? Any other thoughts, questions?
I was just this was my effort at putting it together, and I know that now I could maybe consider some other options, but the debt to income or not the debt to income, but the loan to value, the note to value is too high to really consider selling it. But
right.
From an experienced note perspective, is there a better way to put it together that I should consider on the next one?
Well, in this case, the value is created by the business, but the real estate's always going to look separate. To me, this is you're in it for the long haul. Unless, after some serious seasoning, let's say you're 5 to 10 years into this deal, and maybe she's also paid down the loan, there's things that you could look at there once she's established. But as a 30-year fully am note, no, you wouldn't look at this as I'm going to sell off. You can't even sell a partial because you got the underlying on there. So this is just sort of you're in bed together in a way, right? So this is a commitment where you're just committing to each other for an extended period of time for your expertise. That's a lot of passive income, with none of your own money left in it. It's phenomenal. And it sounds like it would work for her also. But the only thing that and if please anyone else who has some thoughts, pipe up here, but my biggest thought is, how do you protect the underlying financing once you get it? So what you're not going to want to face is an untimely call or acceleration of that loan. So I would either work it as a lease option, possibly, or, or you put it in a trust, that makes it look, put it in a trust, so that there's no substantive, why would you put someone on title anyway that hasn't put you some really good down payment? I don't really think you should transfer title to her until there's substantial equity, because you don't, everything's good now, but if something changes, you don't want to be having a nightmare. So I would keep title in your name or the name of the entity in which, maybe it's an LLC you're taking title in, and then you're going to sell her the LLC so that, well, do you see what I'm saying? You just don't want to show a transfer of title in public record, is what I'm saying.
And you make a good point, actually, that I still have to worry about. I wasn't as thinking about the underlying mortgage, that I'm okay with 30 years, but maybe the bank doesn't want to be wrapped for 30 years. And if I'm not supposed to be wrapping it, they could at some point call it due. Like you said, that's something I should consider.
Yeah, so that's, instead of, you can do the equivalent, the financial equivalent of a wrap, but with a different structure. Like I said, like a lease option or a title holding trust. So you can, so that's what I would do to avoid changes in the title and public record. So, and that you can stay in control of it, right? If the loan is in your name, then you should stay in control of it until, like I said, she's built up lots of equity. Any thoughts for anyone else that I talked to Lance? So But anyway, it's exciting. I mean, 16, by pulling it, you're leveraging your existing, your existing contacts and your knowledge. If you can pull out $1,600 a month passive income, that's phenomenal on one deal, on just one deal. So if you can do that, that is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, and I like I said, that wasn't at all the plan at the beginning. It turned into that. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming to the table with that. It's always interesting to see, who's doing what. Now we're coming to Richard Cox. Richard, are you able to talk?
There we go. Hi, Don.
Hey, Richard. Great to have you on the call. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking this this question.
Yeah. So tell us, give us the background on this. So you're a real estate guy in Phoenix, Tucson area. I can't remember. Is it Phoenix?
Yeah, Phoenix.
And
this is a deal that I got through in the usual way, through a friend of somebody who knew somebody, of a third cousin, one of those things.
Right.
And so I just wrote him an offer. I mean, I don't have a whole bunch of money, and the house needs a lot of work.
Right.
So I'm going to sit on my money because I'm going to have to put it into the house. So I just wrote him an offer, a first and a second. They need some money in the deal in order to pay off an existing first, because I don't like to have firsts on there that are going to call. I know a lot of folks are okay with it. I'm not. So I'm going to bring in a private investor, and I'm going to sign for the loan to buy it, and then I'm going to have the owner carry the second.
Okay, give us some real numbers. Do you mind? It just helps me get my head wrapped around it. So what's the deal? How much is this property worth?
Okay, it's 164 is the offer. It's about one, as is. It's between. I mean, I'm basically at offering market. I mean, it's about 165 to 170. Fixed up, it's like 190 to 200.
Okay, so ARV, after repair value, let's just say 200 to be a nice round number. So 200, and you're offering, and how much? What are you offering?
164. We agreed on 164.
So basically, that's better than 75%. Okay, they're getting a great deal if this is a fixer upper, right? Okay, so all right, so you're in it at 164, and
right.
And what's the underlying? What do we have on the underlying?
The underlying is a 73,000, 74,000, something like that.
Fantastic.
Loan that I'm going to take out. I'm going to take that out with a new first of 114.8.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be 70% of the
And then
purchase.
you got, is the seller carrying a 49.2 second?
Yes, seller's carrying a 49.2 second.
So you have zero down.
Zero down.
Okay, phenomenal for a buyer. Okay, and so then you've got this 114. Let me get back to that number.
114.8.
And that's going to take out their, okay, so mine is 74,000. Is this how you're putting cash in their pocket?
Yes.
So they're going to walk away with 40,008 minus closing costs.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So then
plus a note.
Plus the note. And what are the terms on that note? Did we say it was 49.2? What are the terms on, what's the terms on that note?
It's 30 due in 5.
Okay. And interest rate?
2%.
Nice. That is quite a rate for a second. Phenomenal. So the monthly payment is, are you 181.85?
Well, I'm I'm going to pay him 300. I'm under contract, and this is where the question becomes. I'm going to pay them 300
Okay.
a month. So I'm accelerating the principal buy down on that second.
Right. And due in 60. So let's see what the balloon is going to be. Balloon's going to be 35.5 basically at that point.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, sir. Now where do we go?
114.8 is at 8%.
Mm-hmm.
30 due in 5.
And it's just private investor, right? Oops.
Correct.
114, shoot, 8?
8.
Right. 8%. Is this interest only?
No, 30 due in 5.
Same thing. Okay, fantastic. 360. For anyone who's new, I'm putting in months here for N for term. Have to bring that back to 0. The future value is 0 just to get the correct monthly payment. And then I come back and stick in the balloon like this. And we figure out what that balloon's going to be. So basically, you're in it, besides taxes, insurance, in utilities, you're in it for 8 plus 300, 1142 a month.
Correct.
Okay, now you're trying to figure out your blended yield, aren't you?
Right. Now, the way I did it, and you're going to laugh.
No, I'm not.
And then next time you see me at a convention, you're going to smack me. But
okay.
The way I did it was I arrived at the balloons at the end of 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I took both balloons and then calculated based on my payment what interest rate would give me, in other words, at $11.42 a month,
mm-hmm.
for a loan of $164,000.
Okay, 1142. I'm gonna just put it in because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a simple person. So let's just figure out your cash out of pocket, and I think we'll figure it out. I think we'll get there. So you have to put out $1142 a month. You have 0 money up front, not even closing costs.
No.
Okay, phenomenal. Okay, all right.
Hey, Don.
All right.
Don.
Sir? Yes.
I want a commission on it too.
Okay, you're getting paid.
Yes.
To do this. Okay, how much are you getting paid?
Well, I gave him a discount. I'm only getting paid 2%.
Okay, but how great is this? Okay, all right. So, how much fix up are you gonna have to come out of pocket? 164 plus what?
Well, it's a 1973 house in Phoenix. And the sun has beat it up. I got to do a roof, and I got to do the kitchen and the bath. So I'm figuring, at least 20 grand.
Oh, that's light. That sounds light. But if you can do it for that, that's excellent, right? So you're going to be in it at 184, and then you're going to sell it. You're going to list it. I mean, what's the objective? What's your exit strategy? Are you holding it for a whole 5 years, or what are you going to do?
Yeah, I want to keep it to 5 years, and then get my pop down there at the end.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so then we'll assume you paid 1142, and you paid negative money. All right, let's keep talking. So at the end, your balloon, you remember the numbers, right? Add the 2 balloon. What would it was, a 35,000-ish?
How I entered it was 1142 for a payment, 164 for PV.
No, it's less by what's 2%? What is your real end cost? What are you? No, but you're not in it for anything. You can't even count that.
Right. So it's
infinity basically. So let's don't put that number in. Yeah, I don't know. 2% is what? You're 16, 3,000, 3,200, 3,300.
I got 3 grand.
Okay, so minus 3,000. Let's just pretend that you invested that, but you really didn't. Basically, it turns a lot better than that. So anyhow, and then what's this future value at 5 years?
144, 144, I think it was 144,613.
That's what you're paying, but what are you going to net? I mean, what's your projections? Because that's what really, because here's the thing, you have none of this. You have no present value. You have zero money in the deal. You have less than zero money in the deal. You have 3,000. I want to see if it'll even do this. Okay, you have this money coming into your pocket. You have that money going out of your pocket, and what are you going to get at the end of 5 years? So what we got to do is figure, what do you think your net profit's going to be minus the balloons you have to pay off? That's how we're going to figure this out. So what are you going to sell it for? What's your projections?
I just wanted to know what the blended rate was. I have no idea as far as the profit, because who knows where the market's going to be in 5 years. I mean, that's another election. 5 years from now, that's a whole nother election.
But if you're in it, let's just pretend 184 and you make $20,000 at the end. That would be kind of conservative if things keep going the way, right?
Yeah, 204 fixed up, and it's 190 fixed up now,
and then some appreciation
and inflation. So, I mean, figuring that I'll make less than 10% error. Yeah. See.
Yeah, it doesn't like this. It doesn't. You didn't invest anything in it. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. You know.
Well,
look at that percent.
I ended up with 6.03.
Sorry?
I ended up with 6.03.
Okay, so what's that balloon that you're going to pay off? Let me just see if I can get your numbers. 144 what?
Okay, 144,613.
So that's your balloon on first and second if it goes full term. You're paying this much. You've got 100% loan to value. I mean, your blended rate is, 6.34, but your actual return on investment, in the meantime, you're renting it out. I mean, what's the deal? Right. And what's the rents?
$1,250.
So you're going negative to carry it. Right? You get in 1,250. Huh?
Okay. What I entered in trying to figure this, I entered for PV, I entered 164, 1142, 144, 613. I entered, okay, I don't know how you got to that, but I entered 360 for N, and it gave me 6.19 interest per year.
Well, the thing is, we have 60 payments of this, then a balloon of this. So I already have it in the system, right? Because it's a 5-year call. But the point, kind of just stepping back from the minutia just a little bit, like if we have to use the financial calculator too much to figure out if we're making a good deal or not, we could get caught in a bad one. Because, sometimes the best deals are like, you don't even need a calculator to figure out if you're going to make money on it. So I know this is sort of a academic, and I know how to use these 5 buttons and a couple other little things, but I'm not going to be, the most academic person that can show you how to do internal rate of return. The guys that made this app are smart as a whip, and they would probably help answer your question if there's a way to figure this better than we just did it. But what I would just ask you to step back and look at, what am I going to make? Because if you're going to be in it at 184 after rehab, and you got to figure out what's your end game, because you're going to go negative, because 1250 minus 1142, that's pretty thin margin. The little I don't know, in my town as a landlord, I got to pay water. That would easily eat up, the difference there, let alone any sort of maintenance issues. So I would just look at, there's got to be a really good reason for you to take on this risk. And in a way, you don't have as much risk, because if something goes south, it's the sellers that are holding that second, if there's a drop, it's going to come out of their side of it. My guess, the best way to create equity is to, they're going to, after they leave this deal, they're going to go, actually, I could use some money now, and they'll want to sell the second and you can pay them what seconds go for, which is at the most 50 cents on the dollar.
That is actually my guess.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. So that's where you create, that's your only point to really creating equity there, right?
To be honest with you, that was kind of what the hook for me was to get into it, was that, and I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to rip these people off, but there is no way that they can sell this property on the market in current condition and walk away really much better. And
so what you're telling me is that they're an unrealistic seller, and it's harder for them to discount the property than it will be to discount the note down the road.
Correct. I'm
Okay,
counting on them needing money in 12 to 18 months. And I'm counting on being at, and I mean, actually, it's part of my plan in a year to give them a call. Just touch base, how's things going, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way.
So gotcha. So you're basically just trying to play Aikido with them, and instead of fighting them on the price, you're going to say, okay, I'll give you your price, but you got to give me terms. And by the way, down the road, probably I'll get my 50 cents on the dollar. So then you actually have a reasonable amount of equity and profit potential. But if they don't, though, worst case scenario, and they don't, you just aren't. I just want you to look at, is it worth it? Because you got the exposure in terms of, I guess, if you get it rented fast enough, right? You're at least covered. You can't lose too much there. But I don't know, just interesting. It brings me to a point where I bought a 15-year partial. It was a 360 note, and I bought the first 15 years, and we're 5 years into it, and now they want to sell the other part, and I'm the only buyer for the note, and I can't pay them very much because the payment stream doesn't even begin for another 11 years, but they just want to be done with it. So it's like having an option on the property, in a way, an option on a future play. So I guess, just anyone else want to address this? Comment, talk to Richard. So anyway, yeah, I mean, just what you need to be able to do, obviously, Richard, is like, okay, I'm helping solve an imminent problem that my seller has, and can, whatever nothing wrong with making a profit, but as long as you've worked it out to where there's no ethical conflicts within yourself, then it's golden. It's whatever everyone agrees to, right? Right. So it's not like you're lying to them or whatever. They'll have the right to accept or decline your offer to buy their note down the road. And if it goes south, really, your private money guy's fine. You're not going to be out too much money because you'll have the renter covering the basic nut. So it's kind of hey, it kind of carries itself, and there might be a future play here that's reasonably attractive for me to take the risk and do all this business. Right?
That was how I was figuring it.
No, I think it's perfectly good, as long as you're not misrepresenting things to anyone. That's the only thing, because if you're in alignment with your own heart and mind and what you feel is best for the whole situation, then you're not going to accidentally sabotage yourself. That's the only point I'm making.
Right. So, and I mean, I can't misrepresent myself. I went in completely transparent, you know, disclosing I'm a licensee, disclosing I'm a mortgage loan originator in this state, disclose. And I said, look, I'm more than happy to list this property, put it on the market, and let the market tell us what it's worth.
Right.
But, and you know, we had a conversation. I said, if I was going to buy it, I would either need to buy it at a price that it makes sense.
Right.
Which the price would be down around where that first loan is going to be.
Exactly. That's what the real market value is. It sounds like to me for a wholesaler, for an investor.
So that is, you know, I mean, they're looking at maybe walking with 40,000 cash and that's it.
So really, they're not doing worse than if, like, you know, home investors, We Buy Ugly Houses guys got to them, right? It's pretty much the same economic equivalent, but with at least a potential of, you know, some upside.
Some upside in a monthly payment for a while. They'll have the option. I mean, if they want to hang on to it, if they want to hang on to that note, if they don't have any other needs down the road, they're going to clip $300 a month and $35,000 in 5 years, which is both two things that they would not get from a flipper, or from home investors or ugly monkey or whoever.
Right. Well, great. So I don't know if I actually, you know, I didn't give you anything more than you already have when you came, but I really appreciate you bringing this up. It's you know, this is pretty, you know, interesting deal smithing here.
Deal smithing. I love that. You should register that.
I didn't come up with it. I would love to say I'm that creative, but yeah, you're the rainmaker. You're thinking of different ways to put together that, you know, like I said, it sounds great as long as there's everything in alignment. It sounds like you're being completely transparent. To me, the economics make a lot of sense. They're getting what they would get from a wholesaler, and they've got the upside for more. So I think it's completely reasonable. And, you know, as long as, you know, what does happen sometimes is then, well, just so happens that someone forgets to pay the first and the first starts foreclosing, and then you guys split the profit. You know, there are those scams out there. But if you're ethical, you know what I'm saying? Like artificially create a situation where they're going to get wiped off. Say, you know, the private money guy's your buddy, and somehow you don't end up paying him. So he starts foreclosing, and then you get the property even cheaper. You know, some people do that as a scam. But if someone of integrity is doing it, they're not going to create those sort of artificial pressures beyond what's just normal of saying, hey, yeah, you have a chance. I'm offering you a bit of your note, and I'm giving you a fair deal. It's market value for your note. I'm not going to make it a non-performing note by forgetting to pay you on the first of the month. You know what I mean?
Right. And actually, everything is going to go through Evergreen loan service.
Fantastic. So you're using a note servicer that keeps everyone honest. That's good.
I'm not touching anything. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there are some scams and so on and so forth. And I mean, I've given them a copy of my license. I mean, I went above and beyond because there's a personal relationship. I went above and beyond what others would be required to do, or, you know, maybe even ought to do. And if I tried to pull any of those things, the DRE here in Arizona would put a noose around my neck.
Right, you'd be done.
Looking for a tree. I mean, it would be.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Richard. That's pretty. I love this stuff. I mean, this just shows you different ways to put deals together, just using the paper, right? So thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time, Richard. Are you going to be in Las Vegas later this month?
Yes. 3 weeks.
I will see you there.
Beautiful.
Okay. So gosh, time flies when you're having fun. So I'm trying to get through. We've got 2 more people here. Mike Donnelly, working with parcels. Great. What happens when you sell a 60-month partial and the term of the portion you sold? And whose responsibility is it to contact whom to make arrangement for the 60 months going forward? My understanding is that my buyer is the first position lien holder until their 60 months runs out. This is true, which implies the deed would need to be changed to make me first position lien holder starting with month 61, correct? What's the process to initiate that? So basically he's saying if I buy a note, let's say he buys it, I don't know, let's just do an example here. And I wish I didn't lose Mike, but we did. So let's just say he has a $100,000 note that he bought. Let's make up a note. Let's make up, it's a $120,000 note at 5%, amortized over 360. And there's the payment, $644.19. And let's say they're a year into it, so we're going to take 12 off of that. So I'm going to recall this number. I could just make it up in my head, but here's a way, minus 12. So 348 is the new term. We've got 29 years left on this note. Let's say Mike needs, he says he bought it at a very fair 10%. And so for the right to receive 348 payments of $644.19 at a 10, he can only, what he needs to buy, he can only buy this note for just shy of $73,000. But let's just say he's got a friend who the only option they have is, you know, they're making what, 1/4%, 0.5% on a CD at the bank or on a savings account, something like that, and they're tickled to death to make 5%. So let's say if that person, so he bought it 10% yield, paid $73,000. He's got a friend who needs 5%. I wonder how many months I need to sell them to get, I wonder, just out of curiosity, to get all the seed capital back. Well, there they only need, what is that, 12, 13 years-ish almost? 12 to 13 years worth of the payments. So for half the payments, right? But he said 60. So let's say 60 for 5 years worth of payment. Maybe the friend says, look, I'm going to be dead in 5 years. I don't really want to go that far. But look, he can get, just for selling the next 60 payments of 644, he can get, help me out with the math. Is that half? We said 72-ish. So, well, not quite, right? It's a little less than half of what he spent. So, but the problem, what he's asking is, okay, when he buys the note, he's going to be on the assignment. He's going to take an assignment of the note and deed of trust. And that's usually just a 1 or 2 page document that's recorded in public record. He sends a hello letter. And let me see if I can just, you know, bring up a deal real fast. Just to show paperwork, you know, hello letters. Gosh, I have so much stuff here, but here's like a hello letter. Let's see if I can bring this really up. So, an assignment, like I said, is a 1 or 2 page document. You take full assignment, right? When you buy the whole note. Did that come up? Come on, open. Basically, it's like, here's my contact information, and I say, hey, here's your new payment address. It's basically a change of servicer, right? So Mike, when he buys the whole note, he'll first send this, right, to get the payments coming to him, unless he's really, really fast and brings it in his investor right away. I just say, hey, we're the new note and deed of trust holder of your note, blah, blah, blah. The note balance was blah. You have made 3 payments beginning with April 1. Please forward your check for $3,600 made payable to blah, blah, blah. So that's how you sort of create that change where the payment comes to you. And ideally, you've created a goodbye letter. So this is a hello letter. Hi, please start making your payments to me. But the note seller, what I usually like to do is send them, if they're closing attorney doesn't do it, send them a letter that they sign and send to the seller saying, hey, we just sold the note to blah, blah, blah. Please look for their new payment information. Please send us no more payments, blah, blah, blah. So that's exactly how you, and that's not that hard to do. I rarely have any kickback with that at all, saying, oh, because, you know, the old note seller has already advised them that there was a sale. And a lot of times they know because you've had them sign an estoppel letter or an affidavit, you know, verifying the balance of the mortgage. So there's usually no trouble in getting them to send the payment to a new place. Let's take a quick, what does an assignment look like? No, that was a contract for deed. I mean, gosh, loan to buy note, mortgage quote sheet. Now, let me just get one of my assignments. I'll just show you. Come on. Oh, my computer's being slow. Assignment. Anyway, so basically what happens is, so Mike takes a full assignment, and then when he gets that investor of his that's going to, you know, pay the $34,000 for the next 5 years worth of payments, that person gets a full assignment of note and deed of trust with a partial purchase agreement, which, you know, partial purchase addendum, you know, I mean, there's all these different ways of putting a partial. So you give them a full assignment, but with a signed and notarized document that they promise to reassign the note back to you. So Mike, if I were you, what I would do is depending on your relationship with that person, you can have a neutral third party that holds the original note and the original allonges, right? The allonges are what transfers the note from one person to the other, and then the deed of trust or mortgage that gets recorded in public record. You have to have, you assign it to them with a signed and notarized copy of a partial purchase agreement. Ideally, it can be held by a third party, but if they trust you, then you just hold on to it, because in the end, you have the final interest in the note. And they, after they get their money, they assign the note back to you. That's technically how it works. But like I say, when I sell off a front end partial, I like to hold the original note, but it's because it just makes it tighter, because no one could, like, sometimes I'm responsible for, maybe I bought a partial, then I'm selling off a partial. So I have to be able to give the seller back their money. So basically, Mike, if you have any further questions when you come back to it, I will give you exactly the documents that you need. So basically, I mean, is there any other question or comments from anyone? But it's super simple. When you buy a note, you take a full assignment of the note and deed of trust. And then when you sell a partial, you assign that fully to that person, subject to a partial purchase agreement. And if you have a good relationship, you hold on to the originals, I would, or you have a third party that holds originals for everyone. And you know, there's a note servicer that, you know, keeps track of everything. And then when they have received their 60th payment, they assign a note and deed of trust back to you. They send a goodbye letter, you send a hello letter, or maybe you're the one that gets the payment from the beginning and you just collect the payment from the borrower. So there's no change of servicer to deal with when you're selling off that partial. That's kind of nice too, not to keep confusing the borrower about where they send their payment. So if I sold off a partial, I would still collect from the borrower and just pay off my investor until they're done. Douglas. This is a 4-bedroom single family home, over 1,300 square feet. The home was sold for 117. Down payment was 15. So almost squeaked out 10% there. So the original note balance was 102. Just create this note as we go. They paid some extra principal. 2026. So this is a 10-year note. Current unpaid balance is 98, have no credit, but haven't missed a payment. Owner wants to sell the note for 89. So let's just figure out if it was really, I just want to know right now, if they want 89,000 and the value of the property was what they sold it for, which we don't know here. That's the first thing I have to figure out. They want 76 with no credit. I can tell you they're not getting 76 cents on the dollar. It's too high. But let's, for kicks and giggles, right? So if there's good credit, you got funds that will pay, you know, even, gosh, I have a deal where I just quoted 93 cents. But it is going to be subject to they have decent credit, right? So I want to put this number in here. 89,000. So from just a safety investment to value, I wouldn't do the deal, but let's just see. What are the monthly payments? I don't even have that. Let's see. Maybe I do. Unpaid principal balance. San Antonio, Texas. There's a lot of paper in Texas. Original balance. Interest rate 8%. So we have 102. We have 8%. No payment. Okay, let me just guess at a 30-year on here. Okay, we have a 30-year AM. And last payment amount, 748, March, February. No delinquent taxes, first position, owner occupied, single family. Okay, so let's see if we have, he said that the balloon payment will be 84,483. And we have how many more payments? 16, 17. So 9 years times 12. I'm just going to guess ballpark at 9 years. If I paid 89,000 for that, what would my yield be? See, that's really low too. Now with good credit, maybe this is possible. With bad credit, I don't think they're going to get this. I think at the best, they'd be looking at a 12, looking at, 11,000 less. So anyway, and then 78 divided by 117, you know, that's a more respectable investment to value. I like to stay less than 65%. Actually, my favorite is less than 50%. I'm always shooting to be at 50 or less exposed against the property, but you know, usually 65 is there. So my guess is this is a much more realistic for their number, unless the payers have perfect credit, you know, like 680 plus is my guess. So for that paper. So anyway, any other comments? I know we're over time here, but anyone else? Comments, questions?
Don?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been an equity guy. I've never been a credit guy. I mean, credit tells me what you did 2 years ago. I want to know what you're going to do in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I like equity.
What would you pay on this?
No, I like what you wrote right there. The 78. I wouldn't bounce. I wouldn't go up from there based on good credit.
No, I wouldn't personally, but the funds would. You know, there's a few, you know, larger buyers, the funds that they have,
Right.
you know, millions of dollars in, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, probably their banks, they probably leverage some cheap money. They can be very credit driven, where I never am, almost never. So basically, I would take this, and then we're going to get a BPO or an appraisal, and let's pretend that's a solid number. That's my first offer right there, 65 cents. That's my first offer is safety, and then figure it out if the yield makes sense. But like I said, if they had 680 plus credit scores, and we've got a year worth of seasoning there, I can imagine a fund paying possibly 8. And then if you're a broker, maybe you take out 5,000 for that, and you offer them an offer of, you know, 93,000, which is more than they even asked for, right? But the problem is here is the credit. And then anyway, so that's just my I don't deal with the funds. I just have it, I've got other people that keep me updated on what they're doing. And for good paper, for A paper, they are, buying at yields between 7 and 10%. So, someone like me who's, I need to make money in the middle. If I'm paying my investors 8 and 9%, I can't compete with these guys on the A paper. It's, if I can't come in and create a custom solution, then I can compete because I'm more nimble. I can, just be creative. Or if they only need a partial, I can compete. But if they need a full, because some of those funds based on good credit will go up to over 90 cents. Over 90 cents. So, yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Yeah, but that's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for I wouldn't do it. It's too much risk. So, hey, this has been a phenomenal call. I really appreciate you guys being with me. It means a lot to me when there's a lot of participation, and hopefully you've got some value of spending your evening here with me. I look forward to the next time we're together, and I think we have a virtual happy hour coming up on the 15th, so at 4 p.m. Pacific. If you're around, please jump on, and I'll see you then. So thanks again, Axel, for being here and being, the guy that pulls all the strings. And you guys have a great evening.
Thank you, Don. Good night.
All right.
Yep.
Good night.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again. Appreciate all of
Thank
you.
you, John.
Thank you. Bye-bye.